The UFC has officially announced the main event of UFC 318 in New Orleans on July 19th. Yes, you heard that right. UFC 318 has been announced, not UFC 317, which we're all wondering, is it Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria? Is it Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev? What is going on with 317? International Fight Week. We're going to get to that in this video. But the main event of UFC 318 is Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 for the BMF title. Who is the baddest of them all? You'll get that reference in a minute. Now, I will say, to me right now, this announcement plus a clip that I'm going to show you in this video of Dustin Poirier giving an interview confirms to me the main event of UFC 317, and we're going to break that down later in the video as well. We have Dricus Du Plessis' coach coming out and saying that Dricus has a fight very, very soon. We also have Dricus saying that he's not injured. But we're going to break that down later in the video about UFC 317. It's just very bizarre what a fly-by-night company the UFC is. That International Fight Week is literally 8 weeks away, and somehow they're announcing the event after, while we still do not have a main event for UFC 317. But let's get into it and talk about the fight to begin with. Who will be the baddest of them all? Whoever wrote this should be ashamed of themselves. But anyway, the hometown kid, Dustin Poirier, challenges Max Hollway for the BMF belt in his final trip to the octagon. Talk about corny promotion. Who will be the baddest of them all? Talk about corny-ass promotion. We got Dana just sucking off Jones every other press conference, and the best we get is who will be the baddest. That's a bad dude. That's a bad dude. Let me just stop right now. All right, let's start off with some positives. Let's try to have some positives, okay? Let's try to have some positives. Okay, first off, when I looked at this tweet, I'm like, wait a second. No main event? It's not main event. I was like, oh yes, I love this fight. Co-main event, no problem. Co-main event, I love this fight. Main event, I hate this fight for a main event. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So I'm like, wait a second. I'm scanning for keywords. I don't see main event anywhere. I was thinking maybe Dricus Du Plessis came out and said he wasn't injured, but didn't want to spoil the whole announcement. So maybe he's playing coy a little bit and trolling a bit, and his coach is trolling a bit. Maybe the main event of UFC New Orleans is going to be Dricus Du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev. But then UFC News, the official UFC News Twitter, Dustin Poirier will make the final walk to the octagon against BMF champion Max Holloway in the main event at UFC 318. So main event there. Then you also have Poirier, who officially announced it on the Pat McAfee show. He said it's the main event. Listen here.
The state of Louisiana on the same page to make all this work. I didn't know if it was going to all come together, but it did. July 19th, me and Max Holloway are going to fight 5 rounds, main event, pay-per-view for his current BMF title. And
so there you go, from Dustin Poirier, main event for his current BMF title. We're going to find out who's the baddest of them all. All right, more positives before we get into the negatives. The matchup, I know it's a trilogy. I know Dustin Poirier already has 2 wins over Max Holloway, but it's been a while. I mean, what was that last fight all the way back? I believe, off the top of my head, I'm going off the top of my head right now. I believe it was UFC 236. I want to say that was in April of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that one. But it was a while ago. The first time they fought was at 45. Dustin Poirier submitted him. That was the first fight of Max Holloway's career. Crazy storyline. Dustin Poirier was Max Holloway's first UFC fight. Max Holloway will be Dustin Poirier's last UFC fight. Very interesting there. They're both exciting fighters. There's no doubt in my mind this will be an exciting fight. This will be an exciting matchup. I guess Max is officially going to stay at lightweight. He beat Justin Gaethje last year at UFC 300, had that crazy KO to win the BMF title. The guy who slept Dustin Poirier, but MMA math doesn't always work. And Poirier's always been an exciting fighter. Now, both of them are coming off losses. Max Holloway got brutally KO'd by Ilia Topuria and got humiliated in that fight. And Dustin's coming off a title loss against Islam Makhachev, where he got submitted in the 5th round in a fight that he overachieved in. But there's no doubt in my mind this will be an exciting matchup. There's no doubt in my mind this will be an action-packed matchup. I actually think the second fight is a little bit underrated. It was a very good fight. Now, the other thing I could say positive about this fight is shout out to the UFC for actually doing something positive for one of their fighters for a change. I like that Dustin Poirier is getting his retirement fight in New Orleans. He deserves that, man. Dustin Poirier has been around forever. He deserves a big opportunity in his hometown to end his career. And it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird Dustin Poirier isn't around anymore. He's been around for so long. He's been fighting in the UFC for so long. So I'm happy that the UFC is giving him an opportunity to retire in his hometown with the BMF title and call himself the baddest of them all. Now, with all that positive being said, we're going to get to my prediction for this fight in a little bit. This BMF belt is corny, it's cringy, it's embarrassing. It is a fake-ass WWE belt. And if that isn't bad enough, if it isn't bad enough that this is a fake-ass, cringy-ass belt, Max doesn't even have it. Max is not the BMF champion. I don't care what anyone says. He got embarrassed by Ilia Topuria and then KO'd. This dude pointed to the center of the cage against Justin Gaethje, who he brutally eye-poked twice, who was beaten and battered and already defeated, and then slumped him out cold for a crazy knockout, right? I'm the best boxer in the UFC. I'm the greatest. I'm the elite. I'm this and that. And I'm going to taunt Calvin Kattar after I beat him from pillar to post. He steps out there against Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria says, let's bang, bro. Let me bang, bro. He ran for the fucking hills like Colby Covington when Ian Machado Gary was trying to fight him. So you're already stripped of the BMF right then and there. You run off when someone points down. Oh, this is a fresh fighter. This isn't a battered fighter. This isn't a guy with a broken nose. This isn't a guy that's been brutally eye gouged twice. You're running away. You're stripped. You're stripped of the belt. Then on top of that, he got brutally KO'd afterwards. But still he has to, I mean, imagine parading around a WWE participation trophy. Dude is basically the interim BMF title. He's basically the former BMF champ who's still parading it around. Like, dude, I'm a champ, man. I never lost, man. And it's all because the UFC likes to have a title headlining an event. So we have a sham belt that's really being held by a sham holder in general anyway. And now he's defending it in the main event of a UFC pay-per-view solely because the UFC doesn't like to have pay-per-view events. They're contractually obligated with ESPN to have a title headlining the event. I don't care who will be the baddest of them all we hear. It's a fake-ass WWE belt, okay? That Max doesn't even really have. Okay, I'll die on the hill. The lineal BMF is actually Bilal Muhammad, okay? It's actually Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad's the real BMF. And if you want to just start talking about what they've done and this and that, you know the real BMF around here? Ian Machado Gary. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's a BMF. Okay, that's a BMF. Not dude who runs away when offered to stand and bang in the center. The craziest part, and I'll stop harping on this because the Max Hollway haters are getting so mad and unsubbing right now. The craziest part is Max swinging and banging in the first 10 seconds of the Topuria fight would have been his best opportunity to win the title. The actual legitimate title that now Topuria has vacated. Okay? Now let's get to a prediction because we're going to talk about 317 here in a little bit. I'm going Poirier, man. I'm going Poirier. I think Poirier is the better striker. He has good power. There's a power discrepancy. I know Max went and brutally KO'd Justin Gaethje, who had a KO win over Dustin Poirier. MMA math doesn't work. MMA math just simply does not work like that. And I don't think the performance Max had against Justin Gaethje, he can replicate against Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier's in his hometown, okay? Poirier thrives off pressure. We've seen it in both Conor McGregor fights. I know not the first one, but the second and third. He thrived off that pressure. He's been around forever. This is his retirement fight. He has the opportunity to leave with the BMF title wrapped around his waist and to get a win over a guy he's already beaten twice. And Poirier's getting out while the getting's good. He's not completely washed up. He had a good fight with Islam. Almost went to decision with Islam. Yes, I'm giving him a participation trophy for going to decision with Islam. Right now I am. When I'm breaking down this fight in my head. I think he beats Max. Max's striking is not as good as people make it out to be, especially defensively. He gets tagged way too much, and there's a power discrepancy there. Dustin Poirier is going to tag him on the feet. So I think Dustin Poirier wins this fight. I just don't. Max, that performance against Justin Gaethje, I think, was a bit of an aberration. We'll see how long Max. I mean, this is the fight we all knew was going to happen. So, and Max has said he's going up to lightweight after Topuria embarrassed him. So maybe Max is really truly put on size and is prepared for this fight. And maybe he comes out and surprises me. He is the younger fighter, but he's been around forever. He's taken a lot of CTE himself. So we'll see. I think it'll be a very competitive fight. I think it'll be a back and forth fight. For an early prediction, I'll go Dustin Poirier, probably by TKO. I just feel like Poirier finishes him. I mean, not Topuria. I feel like Poirier... Did I even say that wrong? I think Poirier finishes him. Topuria softened him up. Okay? I think Poirier's got to win this one. I think he's got plot armor, as some people would say. He's got plot armor in this fight. But why couldn't this be co-main? I don't want to bitch and whine, but why couldn't this be co-main? I mean, the UFC, what are we getting anymore? Bilal, JDM, undeserved title shot. Marab, Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley, UFC 316. The rematch, undeserved title shot. UFC 317, which we're going to get to in a second. I have a hankering. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be a fight you guys aren't going to be happy with, but we're going to get to that, and I'm going to give you the reasons why I believe that. And then we have 318, July 19th. We have Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier. This will be a banger of a co-main. I'm happy that it's 5 rounds. I wish it was a 5-round co-main. But I'm not particularly pleased with the fact that it is a main event. But good on Poirier getting out while the getting's good, not sticking around like Anthony Lionheart Smith and going out there for a paycheck and curling into a ball every single fight and getting beat on. And, you know, he's not going to be able to remember his kids in the future because of how much damage he's taken. I'm glad Poirier's getting out now, because he's taken a lot of damage throughout his career as well. But I think Poirier gets it done in his hometown. Now, the next thing I want to take a look at is a Dustin Poirier interview. Because, again, we're getting 318 announced, but we don't have 317 yet, which is a couple weeks prior, 3 weeks prior. Let's listen to what Poirier had to say about the fight. This was recently dropped by MMA Junkie, Mike Bond, doing the interview here. I'll link this down in the description if you care to go check it out. Listen carefully here.
Well, I was asking for Gaethje. I was asking Hunter in the UFC for Gaethje because we're 1-1. I wanted to close out that trilogy. For some reason, they really wanted this fight. So I said, okay, that's cool because I respect the guy from my last fight. Yeah, I don't know what their thought process was of putting this together for me and Max, but I have a lot of respect for him, so it made sense to me. I said legends only. He definitely fits that.
So there you go. He wanted Justin Gaethje. They're 1-1. And they insisted on Max Holloway. Now, that could be a multitude of reasons. It could just be the fact, oh, well, we need a belt to headline. Max has the BMF, even though he really doesn't. So, sorry, you're fighting Max for the BMF. But they've already shown that the UFC is very, compassionate towards Dustin Poirier. They're giving him a main event of a pay-per-view in his hometown to end his career. So maybe they couldn't do the Gaethje fight. I mean, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, 3 could headline a pay-per-view in UFC terms. They're already booking every shit fight under the sun. Why wouldn't they book it? I mean, okay, maybe the BMF title is the explanation. But maybe Gaethje has another fight. Maybe he has another fight. Who could he be fighting maybe? Because we still don't have a UFC 317 main event. This is Dana White trolling a fan after asked for fight news. Who cares about your Cal? Announce the fight. LMFAO, I'm never announcing it. How handsome is that bull? Say it. I think Twisted Steel or whatever died. So Dana got a new bull. I think he's pretty handsome bull. Pretty handsome bull. It would be nice if we got some decent main events of pay-per-views, but he's a decently handsome bull. But he's never announcing it. But I think the UFC is scrambling around behind the scenes, which I covered in a previous video, talking about Dricus Du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev. And speaking of Dricus Du Plessis, and again, we're going to come back to this in a second. I'm just putting it all together for you guys. We have Dricus Du Plessis' coach, Morn Visser, reveals Dricus Du Plessis will be fighting Khamzat Chimaev, just not at 317. Quote, no injuries, man. That's bullshit. We're fighting Khamzat. We're actually waiting for the contract. It's going to be soon. Definitely not International Fight Week. They got something else planned for that. I'm sure everyone knows about what they've got planned. Okay. So he's not fighting International Fight Week. So it's not Khamzat Dricus, allegedly. Maybe they don't want to spoil the plans. Maybe it could happen. Dricus also came out and said he's not injured. I believe Dricus was injured. Okay, this is going to be crazy because people are like, Joe, you're jumping all over the place, but you don't listen to what I say. Okay, it was never confirmed he had a serious injury. I believe Dricus had a minor injury that made him not want to fight at UFC 317. He's going to be fine to fight in the near future. It's not going to be at 317. It looks like it's not going to be at 318. I would love if they announced this as the main event. I would forgive the UFC for a lot if they announced Dricus Du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev, UFC 318 main event. But it's not going to happen. So they're pushing that back further and further and further. We're not getting that till late summer, early fall now, which is super depressing. So that leaves one option. Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev has started training camp for his upcoming fight per Cole Monero MMA, which I don't trust, okay? But I do believe Islam is in training camp because he's been posting training footage online for like 2 weeks now. So he's probably been in training camp for weeks now. So Islam is headlining UFC 317, but who is he fighting? Who is he fighting? There are 2, maybe 3 options. One of them's a straight up banger that I kind of understand why may not happen. The other one is a complete disgrace. So let's start off with the complete disgrace. Do you guys remember what Poirier said here? Listen carefully. Let's rewind.
Oh, I was asking for Gaethje. I was asking Hunter in the UFC for Gaethje because we're 1-1. I wanted to close out that trilogy. For some reason, they really wanted this fight. So I said, okay, that's cool because I respect.
So he really wanted Gaethje, but they said no. Dustin Poirier Gaethje is a banger fight. They're 1-1. It'd be an amazing trilogy. But Gaethje might already have another fight. Now, could that be Paddy Pimblett? Sure, it could be. I just think back to that original Kevin Iole article where he's talking about, potentially rumors of Dricus being injured and Islam fighting at 317. And which fight did he hint at? Do you guys remember? You guys remember what fight he hinted at? Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje. I got a sickening feeling. I'm hoping the UFC pulls out all the stops and makes a different fight. I'm praying to the MMA gods they make a different fight. But I think it's going to be Islam versus Gaethje, main event of UFC 317. Now, the Topuria fight is really the only other option. Dana has already been adamant Arman Tsarukyan's not getting another opportunity at the belt. So it comes down to Topuria or Gaethje. Guess who manages Makhachev and Gaethje? Ali Abdelaziz. You think he doesn't want to make that fight? Gaethje is coming off a win in the weight class. There's no true deserving number 1 contender at lightweight. Topuria has one title defense at a lower weight class. Now, let me be very clear. I want Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria if it's not Arman. I have no desire to see Islam Gaethje. I mean, at what point do we get tired of seeing Gaethje and Poirier submitted in title fights? Are we ever going to get tired of that? I mean, that's been the last 5-6 years of the UFC. Rinse and repeat. Poirier getting submitted, Gaethje getting submitted in lightweight title fights. But man, the fact that Poirier really pushed for Gaethje and wasn't able to get it, that tells me they're looking at Islam versus Gaethje for International Fight Week. Oh my goodness. I hope that does not happen because I'm really going to throw a temper tantrum if that's booked for the main event of UFC 317. But it's crazy. We don't even have an announcement yet. We're literally 4 weeks away, or 8 weeks away. I'm sorry. We're 2 months away. We don't have an announcement yet. Maybe the UFC pulls out all the stops. I understand that Topuria has one title defense. I think Topuria is acting like a spoiled brat. I would preferably want Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan 2 booked for UFC 317. I think that's the fight to make if the UFC had any true meritocracy. But if they're not making that, it should be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, not Justin Gaethje. So we'll see. Are we just going to get a bunch of... At this point, I'm convinced Dana's watching my channel and just trolling me. It's like, whatever pisses this guy off, I'm booking. If we end up with Islam versus Gaethje, I'm just going to talk about that. Who's the baddest of them all, man? Who's the baddest of them all? That's the way I'm going to promote that fight for myself. Because that just makes me want to check out of the sport. Merab O'Malley, too. When O'Malley didn't even get a fucking win. He got dominated, didn't even get a win. He's coming back. Tim Welch didn't even know double legs were going to be shot by Merab. What a fucking doofus. And that we're getting that for 316. And now we're oh my God. I don't know. But anyway, main event, UFC 318, Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. He's fighting Max Holloway in the trilogy for the BMF title. Don't hate the fight. Wish it wasn't main event. But the UFC is spreading themselves so thin nowadays that they have to book BMF title fights. It's a sham belt, but they have to book it because they have to have a title fight headlining pay-per-view cards per their contractual agreement with ESPN. Hopefully that changes with the new streaming rights deal coming up in 2026, which is crazy. Where is the time gone? I'm hoping UFC pulls a rabbit out of their hat for UFC 317. But if Dricus isn't fighting Khamzat and Gaethje's not available for Poirier for his retirement fight, it's looking a whole lot like Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje. International Fight Week, UFC 317, complete abomination. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and thank you so much for watching.